Straight from the chest. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening, viewing. It's a pleasure to be on here and speaking with you guys. Man, my week's going by pretty fast. I don't know about yours, but it seems like it was just Sunday. Now it's Wednesday. Jeez. Man, in fitness, we have something called the negative stroke, right? And that's something that comes in the lowering phase of the repetition. So for instance, on the bench press, it would be the lowering position down to the chest. On a bicep curl, it would be the lowering down from the weight against or resisting gravity. And so in that negative stroke, there creates the most muscle damage in terms of sarcomeres, in terms of metabolic stress and mechanical damage on the tissue. And as a result, the tissues have to adapt to that new stress that you enforced, right? Or you applied. And it's funny because the other day I was watching Wife Swap. I don't know if you've ever seen that show, Wife Swap. And it's where they take two families and they swap wives, and they clearly they're going to choose, the production company is going to choose a wife two different families that are like polar opposites. So in this particular instance, it was funny, and the thing that drew my attention was having me continue to watch it was the fact that one family was fitness oriented. I mean, the guy was like a boot camp instructor, super good shape, and so was the wife. And then the other party or the other family were couch potatoes, like typical westernized diet, couch potatoes. And so they clearly swap. They see these two families as there's going to be conflict, obviously, right? They come from two different worlds, and like you would think it would happen, or how I would end up portraying is the one that is the couch potato is resistant to anything that the fit family is used to. And it's just funny seeing these people trying to live in the constructs of the other family. And naturally, the fitness woman, she did pretty well with the couch potato. I'm gonna call them couch potato family because the lazy family, because that's basically what they were. They're ridiculously lazy. And the woman of the lazy family, when she went to go be with the boot camp man, the boot camp husband, she failed miserably. And she failed miserably because she wasn't used to the stress that he was putting her through. And it's not like he was going from 0 to 100. She was just exercising. She was doing something that was out of her ordinary, and that was something that was a stress to her, and she just couldn't keep up. And not only, well, I shouldn't say keep up, because I can give credit to somebody who tries to keep up, but this woman didn't even try. She would make justifications and give reasonings behind why she couldn't do it or why she didn't do it. She had all these rationed out justifications, and they were just excuses. And if you look at the person that she was severely overweight, unhealthy, and as a byproduct, do you think she's going to have a clear and strong cognitive approach to anything she does in life? No, because her body's so used to being comfortable in comfortable stages, and it's resistant to any kind of stress. Anytime she does anything that is somewhat physical or derives more attention neurologically from her that she's not used to working within, we'll just call it that, she resists because her body's so used to being comfortable. And look, I get it. I understand. Your central nervous system doesn't want to be that stressed because it has one job, and it's to maintain homeostasis. And if you do anything in and out of that parameter, your body wants to bring you right back to comfort zone or homeostatic state. And as a byproduct, we become more lazy and we become more resistant to anything that's negative in our life. And in a world filled with, we'll call it the positive vibe tribe, anything that's looked at or viewed as negative is counterproductive, right? Why would you want to? It's all about positive vibes, bro. And really, it's not, because we know reality is not all positive. And positive thinking is fine. But if there's no application or action coupled with the positive thinking, then it's futile. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. So I have no problems or qualms with the positive vibe people. I get where you're coming from. But if you're going to accept the positive, you have to be willing to accept, and sometimes, or all the time, embrace the negative. Because if you're going to embrace the positive, you got to embrace the negative. Because the negative is what brings positive. The teardown is what brings the buildup. And if you don't have the teardown, you're not going to have any buildup. And some people have more teardown than they have buildup in certain seasons or segments of their life. And some people have more scale or more buildup without the teardown. Everybody's just a little bit different, but something that is a common denominator with everybody successful you've seen and the top earners and the top performers is that there was a massive teardown in their life. They've gone through so much negative stroke in their life. But you may only see them as how it was where they are now, but it took so much to get there. It took so much teardown and so much negative stroke to get there. And I know you know, okay, Justin, what are you teaching us? We understand there's got to be negative to gain positive. But do you really apply it to your life? That's what I'm trying to advocate here. Do you really, you may understand it, but do you really, when it comes down to crunch time, do you embrace the negative? Do you revel in the negative and the burn of the negative? Because as it states for fitness, if you want any significant muscle damage, then you have to embrace the negative stroke. Now you have two options here. If you don't have a trainer, you're training by yourself, you literally have two options. You can let gravity defeat you and let the rep take its course on the way down and don't control it whatsoever, besides the minimal control you need for the health and preservation of your joints. Or you can choose to initiate a slow down approach as the weight falls against gravity. That is going to take far more power production from all surrounding musculature, not only the muscles that you're fighting to work against the negative through, but stability-wise in your trunk, in your glutes, everywhere, even down to your feet and ankles, buddy. Everything is going to have to remain in a sense of tightness or tensive state to resist the pressures that you're allowing to go through gravity. But as a byproduct, you become stronger, not only physically, but psychologically. You become stronger. And that is what produces significant growth and therefore change in your body. Now, why is it different in life? It's not different. The way that you approach anything in life is not different in terms of its negative appeal. The negative appeal sometimes can be more beneficial than the positive appeal or approach in the same dynamic. Let's go back to the woman that was the wife swap. Here's this man that, albeit he's pretty excessive in the ways of fitness. And that could be very intimidating to the woman. And as much as the woman isn't just lazy, she has a sense of intimidation towards this man because he's pretty dominating, and he has a pretty grandiose stature and bravado to him. And not only that, he's in tip-top shape, and she is not. So not only is she working with psychological deterrence in the fact of her structure and being comforted and lazy throughout her life, but she's going from basically 0 to 1,000 here with this guy that is just on the whole nother end of the measure. And he's giving her small but challenging opportunities for her to break and for her to win against. But she doesn't even really try. And because she doesn't try, but because she doesn't want to feel defeated as well, she has to give herself an out. So she justifies her reasoning out. She justifies her excuses. She's sick. She's tired. Well, no kidding, you're sick and tired. You don't eat well. You don't take care of your body. Look, I'm not fat shaming here. But at the end of the day, no one chooses to put that food in your mouth but you. No one chooses to not exercise but you. And if you choose to not take sometimes the more challenging approach in life, you'll never know what you're made of. And if you don't sometimes embrace the negative end of the stroke, of the situation, of the problem, of the dynamic, you'll never really know what you're made of, both physically and psychologically or mentally. And that's one thing that fitness has taught me. It's taught me that I'm pretty strong mentally, more strong than I thought I was. And on top of that, it's built more mental strength and growth. And I think I'm more thankful for that and for the opportunity to see that uphill magnitude or that uphill growth with my mental strength, because I can apply that in so many areas of my life that I can't apply the physical side to. And that has helped me in so many areas of negative stress in my life or negative influence in my life. It's helped me combat so many different areas that I didn't know that I had the strength for. And again, like I told you, the negative stroke has built and chiseled some of the most top earners and performers that we have in today's society. And I almost think as I look at that and reflect on that, I almost think, well, I want to be a top earner and a top performer too, but I haven't gone through some of the things that I've heard some of these earners and performers testify to. And I'm almost a little bit annoyed, not annoyed, but I almost feel dismissed by that, because I haven't really had that many or all that much struggle in my life with regards to applicatory to them, like when applied to them. They've gone through so much. So I think like, well, what am I going to just be ordinary, mediocre? And for those lies that come into my life, I just got to leave it up to God, because I know that He knows what He's doing. And who knows, maybe there's going to be more negative in my life. I mean, much more, like insurmountable negative I never thought of. But I know, and I know this from lifting, if I embrace that negative stroke, if I actually control through the negative, I can't help but get built stronger. All of us can. If you control your negative, you embrace it, and you don't just allow the weight to fall, then you'll become stronger as a byproduct. You have no other choice. Your muscles don't. Your brain doesn't. If you control the negative, if you're controlling the negative, not only through the limbs and through the musculature that this stress is imposing through, but if you control the negative through the mental concept, the mental element of it all, you will have no choice but to go stronger as a byproduct. The negative, there's so much growth in the negative. There's so much light in the negative that you may not see it. And I'm with you. I sometimes don't see it. But this is something you need to continuously re-ingrain, because it is where the strength and the power lie. It is nothing for you to control a positive situation. It breeds no type of strength internally or externally from you or out of you. It has nothing to do with your evolution. The negative has everything to do with your magnitude in terms of resiliency, power production, strength, endurance, perseverance as a byproduct comes. If you are not challenged, you'll never grow. If I'm not challenged, I'm not going to grow. And sometimes I have these droughts, and I'm sure you do as well. You have these drought times where you're like, I'm not seeing anything come. I'm not seeing anything manifest here. I'm not seeing anything that's actually even prohibiting me from doing such and such. Like, it's coming. You just wait. And I talked about it in the last episode. You may have a gain or a pain, but something is coming, and both can be used for your elevation. And honestly, this is going to come as a shock, but the positive vibe tribe, they're living in Candyland. You need to get out of Candyland, and you need to enter the real world, because in the real world, there's a lot of negative, but the negative is there to change you, to grow you, to stimulate you, to level up to a higher level, to create more of a foundation where you stand currently. That negative is there for your overall manifestation. So positive vibers, look, I respect you on one end, but on the other end, I don't like you because you don't say it how it is. And that's your duty. If you want to live in a fairy tale, that's all right. But do it in your dreams. Don't live that every day and speak it verbally, because it's nonsense. And really what you're dealing with is depression and suppression on a magnificent level that you don't want anybody to see, because you're fearful of what their comments are going to be. So you instead mask it with a facade that is of positive vibes. You can miss me with that. That's ridiculous. If you're going to embrace the positive, then you better be able to embrace the negative and actually showcase more of a power production against the negative stroke than you do with the positive.